What is going on, guys? It's Sean O'Connell, the managing director here at CinemaBlend, and we are back on the Game of Thrones bandwagon, working our way through Season 8, and we're getting up to Episode 3. But the episode isn't here yet, and as you guys know, I am killing time waiting for new content to drop. It's fun when you're doing a binge, because you get to just go right to the next episode, find out what's going to happen, but when you are doing it in real time, as we now have to do all together in Season 8, it gives you time to sit around and think about what you saw and process what might potentially happen in the next episode. So while I'm waiting for the new episode to drop, what I wanted to do was kind of just look ahead, speculate to what I think is going to happen, give you guys some insight into what I'm thinking, and then after we watch the episode on Sunday together, you can go back and tell me how wrong I truly was.
The most heroic thing we can do now is look the truth in the face.
What I said in the recap for episode 2 of this season was that it really felt like it was closure for a lot of characters. And it felt like that moment in a movie or a book or even a television series where the next shoe to drop is a lot of death. People got beautiful moments, whether it was Brienne being knighted or whether it was Arya finally getting to sleep with Gendry, or, you know, just these bits of closure for character arcs that have stretched over multiple seasons. And so it's to the point where when we dive into the battle at Winterfell in episode 3, almost all of these characters have the potential to be killed off. So let's start there. Let's start guessing who we think is going to get knocked off in episode 3 of Game of Thrones. And the beautiful thing about Thrones, you guys all know this, is that no one's truly safe. Like, you could meet a character and be like, they're going to be super important, right? And then they don't last but one season or a few episodes or minutes, sometimes even minutes. You get attached to a character and then they're gone out of the show. But most of the people who are left at this point have lasted a significant amount of time. The only thing is we only have 4 episodes left. 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're all sort of close to feature length, 90-minute, 80 to 90-minute episodes, where still I think significant things are going to happen. So I went through and sort of charted who I think is... I'm going to start with who I think is safe. I think Sansa is safe. I think Arya is safe. I think both of those two will survive this coming battle. I also think Arya is going to get a pretty good kill. Maybe a few of them. Bran likely is safe. I think Bran's confrontation with the Night King is going to be one of the last things that we see in this show. So I think Bran survives. I was going to go out on a limb and tell you that Jon or Daenerys was going to get killed in this episode, but that seems extreme. I think we have to lose someone big. I think for the weight of the loss to be felt, one of the big characters has to go in this episode, but I don't think it's going to be Jon Snow or Daenerys. I think both of those will survive to see a few more events in the run-up to the conclusion. However, here are the 2 characters who I'm putting in the big enough to die in episode 3 and have us really feel it. And that's Jaime Lannister and Tyrion Lannister. Do I want to see each of those 2 survive? Absolutely. I mean, they rank as 2 of my favorite characters of all time in the show. But it feels like Jaime coming back to Winterfell, facing off with Bran, the 2 of them whose, Jaime's actions against Bran pushing him out the window was arguably the catalyst to a large chunk of this story. Bringing him back to Winterfell and having him die in battle would be poetic closure. He also, asked to be on Brienne's team and admitted to her up front, like,
I'm not the fighter I used to be, but I'd be honored to serve under your command if you'll have me.
So I think this could be it for Jaime. And I'd be really sad to see that happen. Tyrion will probably find a way to survive. And I think he and Cersei need one more interaction, probably down in King's Landing. So I'm going to say Tyrion figures out a way to survive. To that end, I think Varys, who is now in Winterfell, he'll also figure out a way to survive. Let me go through the people who I think are probably going to die. Brienne, I'm putting Brienne on that list. Like, she got such a beautiful moment in episode 2 that it feels like she's reached her end. I think Davos goes at this point now. And he'll die. Like, these people who die in battle, they're going to get good send-offs, I think. Theon's probably gone. I'm going to put Theon in the dead column. Grey Worm and Missandei, you're both going. You both also had a really nice moment in episode 2, and I think that means that this is it. And that's going to sort of be a trigger for Dany to potentially... People are waiting for her to swing into the Mad Queen Dany column, sort of follow her father. And I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen, but we'll see. Survivors. Tormund, personally, I want Tormund to survive. Tormund might even see Brienne get killed. Oh, Tormund might see Brienne get killed. Oh, that would send him into a rage. Tormund might see Brienne get killed, and that would send him into a rage. But I think he survives. I think he's too good of a warrior to not survive. I put Sam into the dead column, and a friend of mine convinced me that he is the personification of George Martin, and so he might not. Like, all right, I get that. That's fine. That's accurate. Samwell might survive, and in that sense, then Gilly will probably survive also. The wild card, because he was missing from the last episode, but he had been given an assignment to take out the remaining Lannister boys, is Bronn. Bronn would be an asset in this battle, and it'd be fun to see him sort of show up, but I think we won't see him until episode 4, 5, or 6. So I'm keeping him off of this conversation. There's a theory... I think I read someplace, it would make sense for the Night King to not be at the Battle of Winterfell. It would make sense for the Night King to be somewhere else, maybe launching a counter attack or a sneak attack someplace if all of his forces are at... It's almost like how Tywin Lannister would always think like 2 steps ahead, and Cersei's trying to think 2 steps ahead by waiting for everybody to get wiped out by the Army of the Dead, and then she's got her golden army, I forget what they're called. But what if the Night King is not at Winterfell and is instead, he's riding his zombie dragon to King's Landing, right? Like, the end of the episode could be the Night King showing up, like, maybe Winterfell survives and they're looking around for where's the Night King, because they were saying the Night King is our best shot to maybe stop the army. If you take him out, the zombies might fall, but he's not there, right? Like, what if he's on a dragon heading toward King's Landing, and the end of the episode is him flying toward King's Landing, ready to launch his own strike on Cersei and her army, and showing her that hey, this is real. I mean, I know she got to see a white, and she might realize, oh my god, there's truly a bigger force at play here. I think how this plays out in episode 3, we'll see the destruction of Winterfell. There was that line from Yara about how she's going to go take over the Iron Islands.
We can take our home back.
Daenerys went north.
Daenerys will need somewhere to retreat if they can't hold the north. Somewhere the dead can't go.
That's not there by accident. So I think the survivors of Winterfell, once they realize they're losing big time, will retreat to the Iron Islands, maybe setting up a conflict battle there for episodes 4 and 5, or just 4, with the finale in episode 5 or 6 being at King's Landing. I think everything has to shift further south, and it's all going to basically conclude at the Iron Throne. And I've said, too, and I'll stick with this prediction, for this point right now, I don't think there's going to be a throne at the end of the show. Like, I think it gets destroyed or melted down, or there's no throne for everybody to essentially fight for. While I think they will prevail over the Night King and his forces, I think that the idea of having one ruler is going to be extinct. So that's where I'm at now. So we are days away from episode 3 dropping. We anticipate a huge battle, and we're bracing emotionally for some significant loss. And that's who I think is going to exit the show. I've got Brienne, Davos, Theon, Grey Worm, Missandei. I'm saying Jaime, and I think Tyrion survives, Tormund survives, Sam, Gilly, Varys, who always figures out a way to survive. And your safe members who are going to be around for the final episodes would be Sansa, Arya, Bran, Jon Snow, and Daenerys. Write it down. Come back after the episode. Tell me just how wrong I am. Give me all your predictions in the comments down below. And while you're down there, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications. We're only a few episodes away from the end of Game of Thrones and bringing this complete project to a halt. I can't thank you enough for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you back here after we do a reaction for Season 8, Episode 3 of Game of Thrones.
The Night King is coming.
The dead are already here.